What's going on, y'all? Good morning. Get started in a bit. Alright, let's get it. Oh no, I gotta do one more. Alright, so I'm trying out some things. Video quality might look a little shitty today or worse than last week. I lowered the latency. This is actually better. Uh, we had like a 30-45 second delay. I'm trying out lower latency, so quality's gonna be not as great, but I'm testing it right now. I think it's about a maybe 10 second delay, 15 second. So this is way better than last week. I could rock with this. All right, let's get it. So I haven't traded last 2 days. You guys know this. I've been out the room, went snowboarding. Pretty much, I did have some swings, so I'm not really tripping. I still got paid out, but we have a couple. Let's see what I want to cover first. Let's cover everything. All right. All right, so these are daily levels. For those that have been in the room for some time, you know this is what I trade. Well, not what I trade, what I track for forex, oil, dollar, GJ, gold. This looks messy as hell. SPX, Bitcoin. But yeah, so you haven't been here, you're not part of the room, you don't know that. But pretty much these are the pairs I trade. One thing that is pretty interesting in my opinion, we have okay, so GJ and SPX, hold on, let me mute this, it's distracting. GJ and SPX should move in sync for the most part. Let me put them, this is fine, whatever, I don't have too much time to cover everything. So we have GJ at the lows, held those lows somewhat, bounced. GJ's in a range, so I want to see what happens if we break down from here. But in the short term, the price action has been to the upside, and it's been holding these floors and pushing up. Gold, similar comments. It came down, retested, and pushed higher. So gold is coming into critical levels once again. Let me go down to 3 hour for this. So gold is coming into these all-time high resistance levels from about, what was that, 2 weeks ago? Yeah, about 2 weeks ago. So we have a test here. Are we going to reject coming into the previous month high, or is there a possibility that gold can push up and make new highs? So I'll be watching gold here, see what type of reaction we get into these levels, see if we can start pushing down, make a new leg down, or if we indeed are going to get that breakout. But like I said, gold has been coming up, GJ has been coming up, SPX not yet. You know, it's been pretty straight down, which, you know, we've been getting paid, so I ain't mad. But this wick we left for, what was it, CPI, looks pretty interesting, if I'm being honest with you guys. I'm not saying we get there, but, you know, if we do something like this, maybe reshort somewhere up here, not bad. That's probably one of the trades I'm gonna try today. Some type of small longs before we come down a bit more. Technically pretty close to my targets that I drew out some time ago, so if we do bounce from here, I would not be surprised. But one thing I do want to warn you guys about is I don't want to do it on here. Let's see, SPY. Okay, so one thing I want to warn you guys about is if we don't get this bounce off. So look, I've sent these charts out some time ago. I told you guys I thought the bounce would probably come into that 567, where is it, 565, 567, which is last week when we had this bounce right here that paid, and then we came back down. So it's easier if I just show the write-up, but I don't really have time. So pretty much I said pop to 580, so we got that pop, reshort, this paid. Now we're at the bottom of this range. So if the bottom of this range holds, which it looks like we might, maybe not, but we'll see, we can get that wick fill we discussed on SPX from CPI. One thing I do want to warn you guys is if we do not hold these lows, we're probably going to go 10% lower. So just be mindful. If you're trying to buy these lows, again, I like the trade. They look clean. You got your CPI wick target. You know, the trade's there. I don't mind it. The only problem is if we do lose those lows, we're probably heading about 10% lower from here. So just be mindful. Be very selective with your buying dips in. So Apple sales paid really well. I'm a little upset because whatever, not even gonna talk about it. I should have been in this shit. I was short, yeah, here. So I was short this last week. No, this was 2 weeks ago. I shorted this, got paid out, took my profits, and honestly, I just never rolled them over. I was supposed to roll over. I got into a bunch of other shit. I just forgot about Apple. It's all good. You can't catch everything. But pretty clean setup here on Apple. We still have some weakness down here. There's a lot of weakness in this chart, if I'm being honest. So like I said, markets can potentially bounce from these lows. I like that level for a potential bounce on SPX. But if we lose these levels on Apple, you know, it's a thin level below here. We're coming straight down to here, and maybe potentially as low as 180, 175. And you guys could watch my live stream from a few weeks ago. I literally covered majority of these setups before they happened. So I think it's called like SPX sales or something. But yeah, that's on YouTube. I did that for free. It was on a Sunday session, covered all the setups. So like even Tesla, I don't trade Tesla, but I covered it. So this was a breakdown from this area we discussed. Coming into the 618 here, we got the bounce. These levels have been up for a minute, but whatever, got the bounce. Testing the 0.5, so if we get rejected here off the 0.5, this can come test 786, and then my original target was around 140s, which is this low from over here. But even under 160, I'd consider this maybe complete. But 786 is at 180. So again, I don't trade Tesla. I'm not even gonna be looking at it. But anyone that trades Tesla, that 248.52 level is something you want to watch today on both sides, whether you're short or long. But yeah, I'd be careful here. Again, markets could be like 10% lower if we fail to hold these lows. Or matter of fact, 10% lower when we lose those lows. We'll see. IWM looks alright too for that wick fill if they get it again. Tactical only. If they break down, same thing as SPY. I had not even looked at my bro. I don't trade IWM. That's funny. I hadn't looked at this chart in a minute, but I guess we got that breakdown. You have your yikes. That would be ugly. You got this floor right here, and if they lose that, you have this whole range right here. So definitely don't want to give that up. How much percent is that? Yeesh. And that's not even. Yeah, markets definitely can't lose the floor today or tomorrow, or 10% lower. Let's see what's good to short. I'm not looking for shorts off the open. I'm just gonna watch the action. I kind of prefer those buys, see if we get the upside. But if if the trade's not there, we can't force it. I'd rather look for something potentially to short. Let's see. What's green pre-market? Just NVIDIA, JPM. This was my NVIDIA from some time ago. Pretty clean tag. I didn't take the longs. I slept. All good. But yeah, that would have been a nice trade. Let's check AVGO. This wick has stuck out for some time to me, so not saying they go for it, but it's pretty obvious wick. And then AVGO has this wick from earnings. So if they hold this, probably gonna go to that, and then from there we'll see if they got more juice or if they try to flip back down. But I kind of like the longs. We'll see what's up. Again, market dependent, needs SPY and everything else to hold up and get that pop, or I probably wouldn't be in longs. All right, so Baba looks interesting for clues. This one's still near the highs. Not a fan of the action here. Rather wait till we get out of this little flag, but I've been shorting the pops. It's been profitable. This little drop paid, this little drop paid. I'm not in right now, but let's see. So I'm not a fan of this wick, to be honest with you guys. Right here. If they hold these lows, you know, maybe try to come fill this wick before either breaking. Obviously, before breaking out, you got to go higher. But either before bringing it lower, or we can actually just trigger the sells from these lows. But again, I'm not really looking down at the open. I'm trying to see if SPY could hold those floors, get a small pop. Go for those CPI targets from what was that, yesterday? Damn, I'm out of it. I gotta stop taking days off. Yeah, so that's probably gonna be a trade I might try. Debating if I like IWM or SPY better. Let's check the transactions from yesterday. Yo, what's good, bro? Morning. All right, so we got, this is yesterday's orders. So one thing I like right off the bat, we're starting to have, again, I don't know how the action's been for the past few days, but as for yesterday, we're starting to get a little more puts coming in than on the call side. So that's a good thing if you're trying to see bounce. Only problem is obviously you don't know if these puts are being bought or sold. Not a big portion of them are multi-leg, meaning spreads, so that's good. One thing I like, where's IWM? Oh, here it is. Yeah, see, so IWM has 185 million on the put side versus 105 million on the call side, so it's about a 2-to-1 almost. So I prefer that maybe for some calls versus SPY, where SPY is only 1.63 billion to 1.13. It's not. So essentially, what I'm trying to point out here is when you're looking for a trade, you want a big difference here. So you want either 3 calls to 1 puts or higher than that, or vice versa, depending what side of the trade you're trying to get into. So me trying to get long, I would prefer if there's 2-to-1 or even 3-to-1 put to call. When you see really extreme numbers like 6-to-1, for example, like when Nvidia was going crazy at the highs, you had 6 calls to every put. That was like a clear straight sign to me to short. Did that into the highs, paid very well. So here I'm not seeing anything ridiculous where it's like a big it just points out to you. But IWM does look a little better than SPY. So I don't really trade IWM, being honest with you guys, but I might take a small trade on IWM. We'll see. And then look, Nvidia, you have almost 2-to-1 calls to puts. So it's crazy. Literally, all you need is 1 pop for bulls to be, pretty much going all in again. So we're at these lows. I don't know what the flow was at the lows. I didn't look at it, but I'm sure people weren't buying calls here at the lows. Now you get 1 pop and everybody want to start buying calls again. So just be careful. This might still be a trap. Do we have a gap here? Looks like we do. Let me get rid of this. So small gap here. Semis don't look terrible. I'm not taking this, but if they fail to break out, so again, you maybe go to that target, that wick from here. But if they fail to break out, this is not a bad small reshort, about 10 bucks, maybe retest before higher. I think IWM might be my trade. Fuck it. All right, let's write this up. So if we stay above, let me label this 201.40, 201.50, let's say, which we are right now. I want to see a pop to fill this target up here, and I'll just TP there. Fuck it, call it a day. I don't really like too much, being honest. I'll take a small win today. Yeah, I'd rather wait till I get clearer setups before I start throwing sides again, but this looks okay. If we stay above 201.40, you can trim on the way up. You got GP right here. So you could trim on the way up, but maybe wick fill before lower. I'm not sure, but not really trying to short at these lows. And if we do break down from these lows, I still got some swings left, so it's all good. If you don't have short swings and you want to short on a breach of lows, to each his own, but I'm not starting shorts here. A lot of names are still at highs though, so I don't want you guys to think, like I said, the market is nowhere near safe. If we lose these lows, we're going 10% lower. And I gave these targets out probably like around February 13th is when I shared this write-up, these targets. So if we lose these lows again, 10% lower. We'll see. But this box is basically where we have to hold, and this has been there for some time. I have not touched my charts. If you guys need, oh shit, 2 minutes. Never mind. I was gonna say, if you guys need me to look at anything, but I do not have time. This is probably gonna be my trade of the day here, guys. So to each his own. If you want to try taking this with me or not, but manage your risk. And again, you do not have to take this if you don't like it. We need to stay above 201.40. So right here, you guys see we're getting a small retracement. That's fine. We just need to stay above that level for the trade technically to work. Okay, what am I gonna put up here? Is 10% good or bad? I'm not sure what you're talking about. Like return, 10% return. Depends who you ask. To some people, 10% might be amazing, but if you ask me, I would say it's not. You know, I wouldn't book a 10%. Depends what you're talking about. If you're talking an option trade, no, I would not. 10% isn't much in an option trade. At least I don't think so. Oh, look at that sell right off the open. Let's see. All right, so I nibble starter here on IWM. If anyone wants to trail, to each his own. But yeah, keep it light. Not a big fan of the trade. So I'm gonna focus in on IWM for a minute. Look at AVGL running. Sheesh. That's probably a breakout right there on the video. Let's see what we get right here. So if you got in on that little spike down, you already up. I nibbled a few contracts on that dip. Yeah, I'm already up 50% on them jits. Again, we need above 201.40 for the breakout. We technically shouldn't be long here because we're below the breakout level. I jumped the gun at the lows to get a better feel, but yeah, technically the breakout hasn't happened, and as long as we're still below, the trade technically again is not viable until we get above 201.40, hold above 201.40, and get confirmation candles, meaning one closure above, second candle confirming. Then I'll be more confident in the trade. But as of right now, I'm green, so let's see if we get the breakout above. Yeah, so Ramon, you were asking, is 10% good? We just secured 10% here on that if I want to take it. Just to give you an example of what 10% is. But no, 10% isn't much. You can get that pretty much, in a minute. Look at the breakdown on Costco. Apple below 215. AVGO got rejected on that 195. McDonald's small bounce off that gap fill. So we had a gap here, back there, and we bounced off that gap level, trying to push above 300 here. Let's see if they manage to do it. Costco's slipping. So IWM, let's see what it does here. If it starts breaking below 284, 270, I'm gonna take those off. They're still green, but yeah, I don't want to see it get below. I'll put a box on it. 618, 786. If we lose this, I'm out that trade. Bro, I'm tempted to buy a lotto on Costco. What they run? Damn, the tax. What was yesterday's high day? Yesterday's high 945. Is that yesterday? 945. How much are those running? $100. Yeah, so look, we get in the breakout on IWM. You probably green depending when you loaded. I don't know, 10, 15, 20%. So y'all can take that off whenever you want. I'm gonna try to hold to the upside targets, but if we fail to break out here, obviously you're gonna take the hit on those. So if you happy with 20% on a little scalp, to each his own. But nah, I ain't booking that. I just grabbed some Costco. It's a lotto, bro. It's a straight lotto. In case it rallies off these lows. I mean, it's not a lotto. It's a lotto in the aspect that I grabbed the weekly, and it's super risky, but pretty much coming into targets here, bottom of the range. Even if I get a small relief pop to yesterday's highs, which were about 945, you know, we'll get a premium spike on calls. So want to see if it holds these lows here. If not, I'm gonna take those off. Maybe under 910, I'll call it on those. An IWM flipped here, so watch out. Again, we need to stay above 201.40 on IWM for those calls to work. If we stay below, I would probably take those off. Let me check if I'm still green. Hold up. Basically, no, actually I am green. I'm 11% now, so 13, not bad. Again, depends when you loaded. If you loaded near the highs, you're probably starting to go red here. And again, if we lose these lows, I'm taking my trade off. Damn, I just coughed all over my screen. Can I cover NQ? Same exact comments as SPY and IWM. Hold the lows and break out. Potential bounce or 10% lower. So pick your side. It's not necessarily a 50-50 coin flip, but you're in the middle of this tight ass range that we've been chopping in for a few days. So to me, this is pretty much a coin flip. You're right around the middle. You're betting that we break down or break out from the midpoint. So literally pick your side. It's a coin flip. Take your odds, small size. I chose the upside. If you don't like the upside, you want to bet on the downside, you know, your call. But you have about $10 range to the upside, $10 range to the downside. So it's just a matter of you know, managing your risk. How much money you're risking on either side. Are you risking $1 to make 10? You're risking $1 to make 3. I don't know how you manage your risk, but yeah, I'm looking up as long as we manage to hold these lows. And IWM, I mean, we're paid here. It's a small win, but if we don't get the breakout soon, I might just take these off. It's my first day back. I'm not trying to take a L. So if we hold this breakout, great. But if we start slipping back down from this level like we're doing right now, I'm gonna just probably cut these while they're still green. 30, oof, never mind. I was about to say 33% green, but on the small drop, we're 24% now. So I kind of rather take a small green than potentially getting stopped out if we lose these lows. I'm gonna give it a few seconds here, see what develops, but yeah, I might cut these for a small win here. If no pop soon, maybe within the next 3 minutes. Nice pop on McDonald's. What are the engines at 314? Shit, my bad, you can't even see the levels, man. So far so good, but IWM gotta get above, stay above. If not, might have to call it on that. Should I set the order at? I might take it off here. I got stopped on well actually yeah, I got stopped on Costco, but I might take IWM off here. 201.58. So 201.58 is what I'm watching. If we literally don't stay above 201.58 here, I'm gonna have to take that off. I don't know when you guys got in on that IWM, but I'm up 40%. So 40% is a pretty decent win. Again, depends the size you took and whatnot, but 40% in about 10 minutes can't be mad. Again, manage your risk, because if we flip here and lose at 201.58 and 201.40, you can take a hit on those calls. You up even more now, 50% plus. Again, depends when you loaded, but if you loaded at the open, yeah, 50% plus. So let's see. Off the screens. I don't like the gap we left, but so far so good on the action. This is the gap I'm talking about. We left this little gap right here. So maybe retest before lower, before higher. And the problem is if we come retest and lose that level, they can flush it. That was a 50% plus pop here. So again, if you got 50% on that scalp in 10 minutes and you didn't book it, to each his own, we can still go higher. Just be mindful. 50% in 10 minutes is pretty good, not gonna lie. So just make sure y'all managing your risk. I could share levels, but I don't know what y'all doing with your port. I only see, like, I see what I'm doing. I'm telling y'all what I'm buying and whatnot, but at the end of the day, you guys still got to manage your risk. So there's the drop I discussed, close the gap, now flushing lower, and if we lose that 201.58 level, this black line we discussed earlier, that's when it's gonna get ugly. So there it is. Again, I mentioned taking off over 50% profits at the top. If you guys didn't do it, you just gave back about half. They're around 27-30% now. If we hold that 201.58 level, I'm still okay with the upside for a bounce here and push higher. But if we do start getting below 201.58 and closing below, that might be my sign to exit on that IWM. Back below 201.58, so this might be it here. Officially, I would say the trade is null here. So if you guys are still sitting on those calls and we failed to hold above 201.40, I would say that trade idea is null here. So again, if we start breaking down below that 201.40 and get closure below there, I'd say short term the trade is null, and I would not be sitting in on those calls or you're about to get hit. Again, you had 50% in 10 minutes. If you didn't actively scalp that and manage it, you know, it's still not too late. I'd much rather take off a small win than end up losing money. So So as of right now, IWM's trying to hold that to a 140. Like I said, if we stay above, it's okay. But I'm not really a big fan of this setup. Above, I guess it's still technically viable, but it looks like they're gonna break down, probably contest this wick right here before anything. So I'd probably be out of those by now if you haven't taken them off, and if you didn't take the profits at the top. All right, so I'm officially going flat on those on some 1%. The other ones are 5. So I'm probably gonna start taking this off if we don't get back above that to a 140. I'm being patient with the trade. Again, I'm not an aggressive scalper. If you guys are aggressive scalpers on size or however you guys hyper scalping and whatnot, again, trade however you want to trade. I'm just sharing how I be trading. I'm not super aggressive with it when I'm scalping. So I'm being patient with this trade. If we get back above to a 140, I'll hold them for a bit longer. But yeah, they're about 5% green here. I took 0 DTE, by the way. You don't have to trade 0 DTE, just sharing what I took. If you guys want to grab time, it'll probably be a little easier to manage. I wouldn't buy too much time just because you don't know how how short-lived this rally could be. So no point in buying months time when we might just rally for a couple days or minutes or hours or whatever. I took 0 DT myself. If you want to do weeklies, that's cool. If you want to buy bi-weekly, that's all right. But I probably wouldn't buy more than that. Maybe a month max, but that's just me. Let me do a scan on the market real quick. So same comments as earlier. GJ needs to go higher for SPX and IWM to go higher. That's the case right now. So far so good. USD CAD is rising, which is not good. But one thing I will say is we left this massive wick at the lows, which I'd like to see filled before we put in any new highs on that. Small retracement here on GJ. Oof, look at SPX. Yikes. IWM probably just flipped too. Let's get this off the screen. Yeah, see, so there we are going for that south side liquidity from the open. And if we fail to hold this box, that's officially where I would say there's like no probability of this trade flipping maybe on the higher time frame. So on the 45, this still looks okay. Just grab some liquidity before potentially pushing higher. It does look scary when you're like on a 1 minute or something crazy, but on the 45 or 3 hour or something, the trade's still viable. So to each his own. If you're still in or trying to get in, these lows might not be a terrible add or entry. But again, if we do start losing this yellow box, that's where the trade starts becoming invalidated on the 45. So if they invalidate it on the 45, that's at the point where I would just, you know, not consider the trade anymore, or probably target these equal lows and put in new lows. So for now, yeah, as long as we hold that yellow box that we're watching on the 3 minute, you're okay. But if we start losing this, it's invalid. So and AVGO rejecting that 195 zone. Let's cover that real quick. We went over it pre-market, but again, we're into the zone. Either they break out from here, go fill the wick from earnings, or get rejected from this level, push lower. But I still kind of want to see that wick get filled. We'll see. And look at IWM, south side done here. Filled, oh, actually no, there it is. Now it filled the wick. And again, if it loses this box, I would say the trade is null. So just be mindful if you lose that box. I think calls will be done, at least for the short term. McDonald's is still at the highs, so if anyone's trying to short something at the highs, actually, nah, I don't know if I can justify reloading McDonald's here. $63. All right, so I literally just tagged the bottom of that box. If they give it up, like I said, I would, like, the calls are done. And they're about to do it, so. Yep, they just flashed it. So again, if you didn't take those off, let's see what they're at. So 25% loss here for me when they were up 50%. Again, I'm not tripping. I rather let the trade play out. It's either TP or you know, stop loss or whatever. And again, my TP was higher. It's fine. I'm not tripping. But again, the trade is probably invalid from here. So if you're still in that, okay, so let me say this. If you're not in the trade and you're looking for a trade, if we reclaim this and push higher, that's a different statement. But as of right now, myself, I do think the scenario is invalid here. 3 hour is still respecting the lows, but we did invalidate on the 45 minute. So I would just probably call the trade invalid as a whole here. And McDonald's did flip from those highs here. And again, if we do break down from the higher time frame levels, which are a little lower than here, we're gonna drop about another 10%. Where is that trigger? Maybe below 552.50. If we get there, so about $3 lower. Not saying it happens, but if we get there and they trigger it, that starts about a 10% drop. So 552.5 on SPY is that trigger. If and when lost, we'll start like about a 10% drop from there. So just be mindful. That was a clean sell at the top of the range on AVGO. I didn't take it. So we're about to test the London lows right here. Southside liquidity met here on Costco. Let's zoom out on AVGO. Yeah, so this is a clean flip here on AVGO, and again, if we keep this path or trajectory, whatever we call it, that we have, the targets remain the same. We can drop to like 160, 161, and if they fail to hold that, maybe like 135-ish. So let's see what those are going for. Nice bounce here on Apple off these lows. If Apple holds 215, let's see if we can see some stabilization across the board. But if Apple starts slipping below 215 and stays under, I'm pretty sure they might go for that 10% scenario by next week. All right, so if you're not in the trade, this dip buy might pay here. If you want to take SPY, it's not bad. If you want to take IWM, that's okay too. But they can pay assuming they hold these lows. The 3 hour still remains intact on IWM. So let's zoom in on this. The 3 hour lows are still respected, assuming we do not slip below these lows right here. It's still possible we go for those highs. If we do give out these lows at 199.54, at that point 100% those trades, or no, majority of my trades, or if not all, are based on the higher time frame. I'll try to execute on the lower, but based off the higher time frame. So the earlier thesis was a 45-minute execution. The 45-minute became invalid, but the 3 hour is still being respected. So let's see how that confluence plays out. Damn. My bad, let me go on mute a second. And by the way, sizing is super important. I don't know if anyone took the trade earlier, how you took it, but one thing I like to do is scaling in and out of positions. What I mean by that is that whenever I'm entering a position, I don't enter all at once, and whenever I'm exiting a position, I don't exit all at once. The real reason and main reason why I do that is because we're not perfect, you know. You're not going to have the perfect entry, the perfect exit. It might happen here and there, but it's not going to happen every single time. And if you know you don't have perfect entries or exits, why not give yourself, you know, 2-3 opportunities to enter and exit? So for example, your first fill might be 250 on a trade, your second one might be 215, your third one might be 2. Now your cost base average is 215. You do the same thing on the way out. You sell some at 5, 550, 750, 1,000, etc. Versus if you sell all at 5 or 750 or whatever, you either were hoping for more and didn't cash out because you didn't secure any, or 2, you secured too early and the trade runs without you. So what do you do to mitigate risk? Again, you scale in and out of trades. Whenever I'm entering, I enter in sets, and whenever I'm exiting, I exit in sets. Just makes it easier to manage, in my opinion. But again, you guys are welcome to manage your account however you like. That's just the way I trade. I use a rule of 3 for many things, and one of them being entries and exits. I enter in sets, exit in sets. And try to go for trades that you can grab more than one contract on. So if you can only grab one contract on a trade because it's too expensive for you, that's already a mistake in my opinion, because you're not going to be able to manage that trade accordingly. You can't sell half a contract or 10% of a contract or something. So you got to buy multiple contracts so you can trim percentages, like I said, scaling in and out of those trades. And trade selection is important. Just because I said I'm taking 0 DTE for a scalp today doesn't mean you should be doing that. I have a lot of swings in my port, which is why I'm okay with the 0 DTE trade today. But if you don't have anything and you're throwing all your money on 0 DTEs every single day, that's not going to work out for you. You got to start learning how to read price action, see where we're going, and try going for those bigger size moves on swings. That's where the money's at. The money ain't trading these micro ranges for a couple points. The money's made swinging and capturing those big ranges. What stocks you guys looking at, or is anyone trading at all? Is anyone in anything? What y'all got going on? Let's see what gold is doing. Nice breakout here on gold. So Apple looks super interesting here. It's literally at the previous day low and sitting there. There's going to be a super critical moment. Like I said, if Apple stays above 215, might be a tactical buy. But the minute we start slipping below 215, it can get ugly. The 786 is at 209.79, and if we manage to lose that, we can drop even under 200. So I'd be very careful with this one right here. This can drink Apple in itself can take the whole market down with it. So that 10% down setup we were talking about, Apple itself can do that. So just be mindful. Apple is still well above Microsoft. That's one thing I was noticing over the weekend. So let me touch on that real fast. I don't want to take up too much time because I'm managing other trades and whatnot. But damn, how do you do this? So this is what I'm talking about. This doesn't look great. Let's flip it. There we go. Okay, so this is what I was talking about. This is Microsoft down here. Apple is currently trading up here. You got your highs lining up, highs lining up, this lining up, lining up. So whatever, long story short, this is where Apple is. This is where Microsoft is. So you have two scenarios. Either Microsoft and markets have a small relief rally, meet somewhere in the middle, or Apple is about to flush. Apple can drop to as low as 170, 180, 170. And that would be the thing that's going to bring the markets down 10%, in my opinion. And again, this is very possible. Like, I'm not playing right now. If Apple slips from here, it's going to go down to like 180, 170. And that would bring the SPY down about 10%, if anything. So just be careful here. That 215 pivot is nothing to play with. Look at McDonald's. Nice move on McDonald's. same comments on NQ William. Either Apple holds the floor, NQ and SPY hold the floor here, or they're gonna roll over and drop about 10%. And I'm not talking today. I'm talking in the span of from here to potentially next week. By next week, that 10% drop can be delivered if the above triggers. But again, you need Apple below 215, and you need Nasdaq and what was that? I don't know what the fuck that was. I just heard some sound I never heard before. My bad, that shit distracted me. Yeah, you need to hold the floors on SPY and Nasdaq. If they lose the floor here, I would not be long, and that might trigger that 10% drop we discussed. But again, the focus is on Apple. The SPY and the Nasdaq are just, indexes. Apple itself falling under 215 and triggering that drop to 180, 170-ish that we discussed. That's what you want to focus on. If that happens, that's going to take down the indexes with it. So the intraday levels do matter on the indexes, holding the floor and whatnot. But the one I'd really focus on is Apple. What the fuck? Yikes. I let why lotto calls might go crazy. I'm not touching them, but it fell a little faster than I thought it would. It's all good. I got paid pretty nice on those shorts. I missed his last little leg down right here, but pretty clean action. Let's see what's moving today. Bro, I haven't even looked at that. Totally forgot I had some HYG and LQD. Not bad. I'm up like 200% on LQD and HYG and shit, so not bad. My bad, guys. I'm managing my port real quick. Where is it? All right, there. Hey, what's good with you, bro? Cornbread in the chat. That QD's hit for over 200% when I shared those. That was a swing we loaded, I think, like a week or two ago. So those are probably greener at open, but I wasn't paying attention. I forgot. Nice pop here on IWM. So if you loaded those lows, you're probably green here. Give me 1 second. Should I sell some more of these? Yeah, fuck it. Let's go flat. Those are up 70% off the lows. So if anyone loaded the lows, SPY's up 70% from when I loaded down here. So I already had the IWM. I'm still holding this last. But the SPYs I loaded 70% here. So the SPY covers the IWM, and now if we break out, they both go green. But not a bad spot to get out if you did load those lows. The targets remain the same as earlier, just you know, we might not get there, so you got to be careful, but this is what we're looking for. See if they manage to break out back above 201.40. If they get back above 201.40, then higher probability of success on this trade. But as long as we're still below 201.40, you got to remain cautious. Again, 70% off these lows to where we are now. Super great win. Manage it. If not, you might have a repeat of what we had this morning. Load the lows, push to the highs, 50% green. If you didn't manage, went red. So here, 70% manage, don't let it go red. And again, if we stay above these levels and get above 201.40, then that's going to be a great development. Point of control as of right now is 200.79. And Apple, nice bounce off that 215, which is what I said was the #1 thing we had to watch here. Still sitting around those lows, so nothing significant. But again, Apple, for the next few days and even next week, you want to see stay above 215. When Apple does slip below 215, that might trigger that 180, 170 drop I mentioned. And again, that would bring down SPY about 10% with it. So just be mindful. I'm sharing this and repeating it several times so you guys can, you know, take note of it. Write that down in your watch list, your alerts, your however you guys organize your trades. Put that down, write it out, you know, however you guys operate. So again, if Apple loses 215 and stays below, it's gonna drop to potentially about 180, 170, and that would drop the SPY about 10% with it. So if and when that happens, be mindful and try to profit off of it, obviously, if you guys can. IWM I'm down on, so I took 201 calls. The first set, I never added at the lows just because I had already risked what I wanted to risk on that. I didn't add to IWM, but I did take SPY at the lows instead. So the SPY trade is about 65, nope, I'm lying, 72% green right now. And then the IWMs I'm still red about 20% on. They were redder obviously at the lows, but I'm still down about 20% right here. I'm not tripping though. I'm gonna give it some time, see if we break out. If we break out, I'll go green on those, and if not, the SPY win covers the IWM loss. So if I really wanted to call it a day right here, I could cut IWM and SPY for a small win net. But if we do flip from here back to the lows, obviously I'm gonna end up getting a double loss on the SPYs, loss on the IWMs. So the easy trade management thing to do here, if you're trying to be more passive and safer with your money, conservative, however you want to trade it, this is a spot where you would potentially cover some to reduce the potential losses. So for example, you take off some SPY with the profit, that way in case we do flip, you don't end up losing on both. And if you want to just, you know, be aggressive with it, you can go ahead and hold, see if both hit TP. But again, depends what amount of money you're trading with. If it's a small account and you know what you're doing, your experience, you want to risk it, go for it. But if you're a newer trader, smaller amount of money, or you're trading on a bigger account, you can't really afford to make those type of trades. You got to be super constructive with everything and manage aggressively. If it's a smaller account, you can be, you know, more passive and take more aggressive risks. But if it's a larger account or just a smaller account, no, you can't do that. You have to be aggressive with the risk management. If not, you're gonna lose up. Again, if it's a small account, you don't have much to play with. So if you lose it, you know, you're fucked. If you have a big account and you're trading big size, any percent loss is gonna be substantial. So again, that's, I think, one of the benefits with starting with the super small account, that you have to micromanage and be super aggressive with your management, just because you don't have much capital. So being able to manage those those small amounts of money and micromanaging every single percent per se, I think is you know, it's a benefit. You know, it sucks. Most people see it as, oh, you know, I can't trade, I don't have a lot of money. But I see it as a benefit, because if you can, you know, manage that small amount of money and do really well with it, you can, in my opinion, manage any amount of money. It's just a matter of, you know, scaling it. So the same principles apply on a small account to a large account. It's exactly the same. I manage the risk exactly the same. Micromanaging positions and whatnot. If you're being aggressive, again, to each his own. But let's see. AVGO is back above 195. That's going to be a pivot I'm watching here. I want to see if we can hold above it and potentially try to make a push higher here for that 215 wick fill. Or if we flip back below 195, do we stay below for a new leg lower? I'm not really trying to force shorts here. Again, I see that 10% drop. I've been discussing it. I just don't think this is a spot where they're going to trigger it. And if they do, you know, I'll miss it. It's fine. I have some other swings. I won't be in on the shorter dated, but it is what it is. And shorter dated's always going to pay more, by the way. If you're correct, obviously. If you're wrong, it's going to cost you more. Anybody have any questions about trade management, ports, levels, specific trades, anything? Point of control on IWM is currently 279, still above. As long as we stay above, I'd say you're okay to sit on those calls, remain bullish. But if we start flipping back below again, if you were green on the scale in or anything, or just even a smaller loss, to be honest, if you were down 40% here, now it's a 15% loss. I think that's you know, way better obviously than letting it come back down to the lows and losing more. And by the way, like I said, there's 0 DTE, so obviously I need these two to either be in the money by close, or I gotta get out by close, because these will expire worthless if they're out the money. those of you that have been trading for a minute, obviously you know this, but there's some new people here. So yeah, you need your contracts to be in the money, or you need to get out before close. And even then, you should get out before close. You don't want to risk assignment. But 200.79 level to watch here on IWM, and Apple back into 215. So again, if Apple loses 215, stays below, that might be a potential problem here. And then starting next week, probably Monday, or maybe tomorrow. I think I could have it set up tomorrow. So I started a Webull. I'm pretty sure most of you guys have seen it. Started a Webull, small account, scaled it pretty aggressively to 50K. That same small account, I reset it, withdrew everything. I'm gonna leave 1K. I'm gonna start all over again. So, those of you who don't have much trading experience, or you want to see how I manage, or just, you know, general, you don't know anything about trading, etc., I'm planning on sharing that that Webull account build from 1K to whatever we manage to get it to. I'll be probably just about as aggressive as I was with the last one on this one. So I would probably set aside a small amount of money to do a small account. Or if you're gonna try to do this within your own portfolio, that's fine. Just be mindful this, again, is a super aggressive small account build. I would not use these same trading tactics or try to trail with like a larger amount of money. If, you know, to each his own, you're welcome to do whatever you want, but I personally wouldn't. So yeah, probably gonna get that started maybe tomorrow, if not Monday. But yeah, I reset that account back to 1K, and I'm gonna trade everything live so you guys could follow along again. But let's see, hopefully we get some good price action coming into OPEX, and after that to be able to scale that account. I'm not a fan of the price action here, if I'm being honest with you guys. If you're long, I don't want to tell you guys to get out here. If you're green, just make sure to stay on top of your trades. Don't want to let it go red. But I'm not a big fan of the price action here. I want to see Apple break out above this level. The longer we chop here, the riskier it gets. So I needed to break out and go higher to that wick fill from here. If we do start losing these lows, I'll put a box on it, but if we do start losing these lows, I'd be cautious being short, if I'm being honest with you guys. Bro, I keep hearing some weird ass sound. Is that like the new sub sound or some shit? I've never heard that sound on my PC before. What the fuck is that? Yeah, I think it's a new sub. Yeah, my sub count went up. Shit had me tripping, bro. So Apple holding these lows again. If we hold these lows, I think they're still gonna try to bounce it from here. But the longer we stay below 215, the uglier it gets. Well, not uglier, because, you know, we're in the same level. It just gets a little scary, if I'm being honest with you guys. And the reason it's scary is because, like I said, this can trigger down to 180 from here, 170. Another $30 drop, more than $30 drop. We already fell from last week, what, 30 bucks? About 10%, 25 bucks. If we do another 25 bucks, another 10%. That would be 195. Damn, my target's a little too low. Where'd I get that 180 from? Oh, the gap. Yup. Yeah, so big potential downside. Maybe might have exaggerated. Maybe not 180 on the first drive, but regardless, pretty sizable drop here on Apple. That would bring SPY down about 10% if they lose these levels. So be mindful. And look at IWM flipping back below point of control. So again, if just a second ago I was mentioning potentially trimming, if you didn't, you want to hope that this point of control holds and we bounce from that level. And if that does not happen, that's going to be your sign to exit. So right now, let's see what happens. But again, when we were at these highs, I discussed potentially taking profits. If you didn't, now you're kind of hoping that we hold this point of control, come close this gap, and then after we close that gap, see if they push it higher from there. I would not be panicking out of positions here. So if you didn't trim at the top, it's fine. Don't freak out, but you do want to see a bounce here, and Apple's at those lows. So look, Apple's about to give it up. This is what concerns me. I'm not concerned about IWM or SPY. IWM and SPY are still at the highs. This is what concerns me. If Apple does not reclaim that 214.50 box, and now we're about to officially validate IWM again. So moment of truth, but I'd be very careful if you're sitting on calls here within the next maybe 3 minutes. If they don't bounce it here within the next 3 minutes and keep driving lower, that's going to be your sign to exit on that. So a little bounce right on Apple, IWM looking okay. See if we get the breakout. But again, I don't know how y'all trade. I'm not scary. Like, I'm okay losing money. I'm okay risking money. I'm okay making money. You can't be okay. You can't say I want to make money, not be okay risking money. You got to risk it for the biscuit, bro. So I'm just telling you, I'm okay with my trades. But again, I don't know how y'all trade and how much size you have, how much you can afford to lose. Everyone has different expenses, different income, whatever. You know, you don't got to explain your situation to me, but you know your current situation. So if you know, hey, I'm a little tight right now, I got bills coming up, whatever, why are you going to risk that money? You know, it just doesn't make sense to me. Mentally, you're not in a place to be risking money. When you're mentally in a place where you're like, hey, you know what, this is extra money, I'm gonna put it to the side, I can lose it, you trade a lot more stress-free, comfortably, and you perform better versus adding on stress of knowing I cannot afford to lose this trade. It just doesn't make sense to me. So if it's $100 you can trade with, then it's $100. If it's 500, if it's 1,000, you know your number, just manage that number. So don't compete with nobody, compete with yourself. If every day you're growing and getting a little better, that's all that matters. So don't worry about how much other people are trading with. If you scaling your account, you making progress, you're learning, be happy, bro. Stay in your own lane and just keep driving, bro. Eventually you're gonna upgrade the whip, but for now, don't trip, bro. It's part of the game. I started making shit. My first Forex trade was literally 10 cents. It was 10 pips on a micro lot. It was like a small, I don't know how much money I funded it with, but it was a small as account. I didn't fund much. Caught 10 pips, made 10 cents. I didn't care about the dollar amount. It was about the knowledge and understanding markets. I was focusing on making 10 pips at the time. I said if I can make 10 pips consistently on every trade, then, you know, in the long term, I'll scale that. So I focused on 10 pips, which translated to 10 cents. And then you just up the size. Keep getting 10 pips, 10 pips, 10 pips. Only difference is you go from making 10 cents to $10 to 100 to 1,000. That's all it is. Apple holding the lows right here, bottom of this box. That's the number one thing I'm watching here. So let's see what we get. What do we have tomorrow? I think we got news tomorrow now. Moment of truth here. So again, if Apple gives up those lows and IWM gives up this box, I'd be out of that again for the calls short term. If you want to scalp puts, to each his own. Probably not something I'm interested in. If I get a breach of these lows, I'm gonna stop out of my calls and just call it. I'm still green net, so I'm not really tripping here. But again, yeah, below those right here on this box, I'm gonna call it on that, and then I probably won't re-engage till later, or if not till tomorrow or next week. So again, the short setup is viable here on the breakdown if they trigger it, but I'm not taking it myself. So you're watching Apple for the breakdown below here, and you're watching IWM for the breakdown below here. If neither of those happen, then you can remain in your calls or try being long. Actually, not try being long. I would not get long up here. If you're still sitting on your longs, okay, but yeah, don't buy here. Small breakdown. Well, hasn't broken down yet, but watching McDonald's. So we're getting super tiny green ticks on some names. McDonald's isn't one of them. AVGO isn't one of them. Microsoft either. So I want to see what's about to happen here on IWM and Apple. If this triggers here on the lower time frame, again, if you want to take the sells tactically, the trade is okay. Not taking it myself, but the trade is okay. But again, fast hands only if you're scalping. There's the trigger on Apple. Now let's see if we can get closure below that level. Trigger here on IWM. Again, let's see if we close below these levels, but definitely don't want to see these levels get lost. I'm still net green here. I'm gonna probably just call it, to be honest with you guys. I'd rather close the day small loss here net now, but I'd rather close here than let the trades run and end up taking a bigger loss. So let's see, I'm gonna flip. I have a 3-minute sand timer on my desk. Usually when we're coming into inflection points like this, where I'm slightly indecisive about holding the risk a bit longer, taking it off, etc. I have a 3-minute timer. So within those 3 minutes, I have to make my decision, but it's looking like I'm gonna cut them. I'm gonna give it a few minutes. Like I said, it's a 3-minute timer just in case we do pop here. But it's looking, I'm gonna have to cut these here. And again, I did let you guys know at the top, it was a great opportunity to get out if you were not comfortable holding your risk. Just because I'm okay losing money on risk doesn't mean you guys should do the same. Up here, when I said you can potentially manage your risk, again, if you wanted to, you should have. I like risk. You guys don't have to. I know how to manage risk. If you don't know how to manage risk or scale ports or whatever, you're better off just taking the small win. Take the small win. Take the small win until you have, you know, a big profit margin where you can take those risks. You shouldn't be taking those risks. So I like taking risk when it's on house money. If it's my out-of-pocket money where I could lose some, probably not gonna happen. There's the move on Apple. Breached the previous 3-hour. Wait, no, not on Apple. 3-hour setup was on SPY. Still holding the lows, okay. But Apple did lose the 3-hour lows right here. So pretty interesting developments. Unless they flip here and reclaim levels rather quickly, I would say Apple could potentially trigger those sales here. I'm not going to start sales here on Apple. I feel like I missed the sales short term on Apple myself, if I'm being honest with you guys. but let's see if they manage to do it. So again, we need to reclaim these levels we just fell from, or it's gonna bring down the markets maybe about 10%. Not bad. My bad, I was muted. We're coming to retest the lows here on IWM. SPY nowhere near the lows, so that's a pretty interesting development here. Q is also nowhere near the lows, so essentially this could be a potential dip buy here at the lows. If we lose the lows on IWM, then probably gonna happen on SPY as well. But I think it's a little interesting that a little more relative weakness on the IWM. So I want to see if this 200 level holds for a potential pot, and Apple is still sitting near these lows. So I want to see if it comes to reclaim these levels or if it's going to continue to put in new lows from here. And Costco retesting lows as well into south side liquidity. I still kind of like that one for Lotto to the upside, but again, it's market dependent. You would need Apple and SPY to rally from here, so probably not gonna happen. But it looks okay. 900 level holding, potential bounce. Southside liquidity met, gap left above. So we'll see what happens here. Apple pushing a bit lower. 213.71 as of right now is a level to watch. So next week when I start the small account build, I'll have a small window up here somewhere, so it doesn't get too distracting. We can see charts, but maybe like bottom corner right here or some shit. I'll put the actual broker interface on the screen so you guys could see live P&L and all that. Just so it's easier to follow along with what trades we're in or looking at or whatever too. But yeah, so resetting that account already initiated. Some transfers, but yeah, tomorrow or Monday I'll have that started for you guys, so hopefully you guys could learn by watching. All right, so nice little pop on Apple. Technically, bears are still in control in the lower time frame here until we manage to reclaim this circle and yellow box we fell from. It's not anything to celebrate or feel confident. If you're a bull, yes, this is nice strength and whatnot. But again, until we don't reclaim this circle we drew earlier in this box and stay above, I'd still be very cautious if you're on the long side. So hopefully this developments continue to the upside if you're long, but again, just be mindful. Short-term comments, bears are still in charge, and on the bears are in charge higher time frame they've been, but on the lower time frame, they took over right here. So above this circle, bulls back in control short term on the smaller time frames. Let's see. And there it is. So again, bears still in control short-term comments. They need to reclaim above those levels, and you see it here on that smackdown. So let's see if they manage to get above, but below this level they still got some work to do. All right, so far, decent developments on Apple. Still no reclaims of the levels, so same comments as a few seconds ago. Remain cautious. Bears are still in control, but so far the progress is looking a little better. IWM still hasn't really popped, so I want to see if it can base here and try to give us a small run up. But again, the number one thing I've been watching today, and I'll keep emphasizing that point, it's Apple. The level to watch was 215, which we're now below. So Apple has some work to do today for the bulls to obviously try to save Apple in the market for some time. But if they do close below 215 and continue to push lower, I would say, it's pretty much GG's here. Short-term comments from here to next week, you can see about a 10% drop across the board, like I said. So just be cautious here. If you're a bull, hope that Apple continues to make progress and manages to make a move above 215. And if you're a bear rooting for the downside, you want to see a closure below 215. So I'm not going to tell you guys what side to be on. I'm sharing current trades. I'm seeing buy side pressure potentially on IWM, SPY, etc. So you guys have seen, obviously the first trade is down. I'm okay with losses. It's fine. I'm not going to lie about trades. I'm being transparent, but I'm not also going to tell you guys what side to pick. If you want to be short when I'm long, you want to be long when I'm short, that's fine. Everyone has their own bias, their own ideas. I've been right when others have been wrong. I've been wrong when others have been right. So it's part of the game. You win some, you lose some. I'm not tripping. There's no point in having ego in trading, in my opinion. Just be tactical, learn every day. So that's where I'm at, currently looking up. But again, there it is. Nice little pop. Back above levels, or trying to get above that level. But again, let's see if they manage to do it. And even if they do it here, these are short-term comments. The one thing that's going to matter is going to be the daily closure. So we're not going to have that answer until several hours from now. So remain diligent, managing your trades here if you were long. So let's do a quick recap of what's gone on this day. So initial pop on IWM, I think paid us 50 if you took it. If you didn't, take them off. Obviously drawdown. This pop paid about 70, didn't take them off. Obviously back in drawdown. And now this would be the third potential setup, assuming we rally from these lows. This pop can deliver another 50-70% or something, right? One thing, if you're a scalper, this could have been 50% secured. This could have been 70% secured. And now you would be in a new set if you really wanted to. So if you're a scalper, take those fast wins. But you need to know your time frame. Are you scalping on a short time frame? Are you going to try to hold? Are you swinging? You got to know what you're trying to do with the trade. So this was a short-term time frame trade, and if you're scalping, I think those quick 50-70% wins and just continue to reload on the trade isn't a bad way to trade. If you're a newer trader, just take the fast wins. Don't try to overdo it. And you can set conditional orders. You can do conditional orders based on levels, like, hey, when IWM gets to this box, sell my calls. Or when it gets to 30% or 50%, or let's say you bought it at $50, you can say, hey, if it gets to $1 or $1.10, or so. That's one great way to manage trades, having preset trades before you even enter. That way you don't have to think about managing. You don't have to, because sometimes you'll be in a trade, you don't have time. Let's say it's a super fast move. Like, let's pretend right now we have a super fast spike, and then within the next minute we just drop. You could have been away from your desk, or you just didn't get filled on time, or whatever. If you have preset orders, the minute it goes above those levels, it's gonna sell for you. You don't have to worry about placing orders, missing orders, anything. So I think if you're not doing like bracket orders or conditionals or anything like that, you're at a disadvantage. Take use of, essentially you want you don't want to do a lot of input in trading. You want it to be stress-free and as minimum work as possible. So if you already have your orders placed the minute you get into the trade, that's already half the work done. You got to watch the levels, sure, but the actual execution part of it, it's already done. The minute you get your fills, the bots are going to execute for you. You already have orders placed. You don't have to wait and then, oh, look, huge spike. It's at my TP. Let me go place an order. By the time you get in, you place the order, you get filled. It's too slow. You got to have those orders set, ready to go. Retracement here on IWM, still at the lows. Bounce looks okay. But the one thing that matters here is, again, Apple. Let's see if Apple manages to hold this and push higher. And if it doesn't, probably going to break down here on IWM. All right, so lows here on IWM, and Apple is still in that box, but I think they're probably going to come down and flush as well. I'm not taking any trades. I'm not too big on this setup right here, but like I said, if they lose these lows, they're probably going to drop about 10%. So if you guys want to take those trades, they're valid, to each his own. Just not taking them myself. I have some swings set up. I'd rather just ride those swings than adding new shorts here at the lows on lower time frames.